Hey, everybody. I want to introduce you to my friend, Diamond Ambassador Erin O'Keefe. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Rhonda Shaw, Diamond Ambassador. We are so passionate about what we do here at Plexus and what we do in our role here as Diamonds and about our businesses. And we wanted to share to you today exactly how to share your why. It is the first step and one of the most critical steps in being successful in this business, in staying successful, and it is that thing that gets you out of bed every day to work your business. So if you miss this step, if you skip this step, if you don't get this step right, things could be really difficult for you in this business. And I asked Erin specifically to help share with me because she is a master at telling her why and exactly how. And when you hear it, I think you will be inspired to revisit your why and really dissect it and see where you're missing. So take it away, Erin.
Okay, first of all, I still don't have a voice from Super Saturday. And you know I must love you when I show up on a Zoom looking like this.
Hey, this is how working diamonds look. I'm in a ball cap and a Plexus shirt.
And let's realize again. And you also know I love you when you text me like 5 minutes ago and are like, want to do a video with me? And I run downstairs and do it. So
yes.
Here we are.
I appreciate that so much.
We missed each other so much that we just had to reconnect.
Yes.
Guys, the why portion of your business, I think, is the one piece people are missing the most. And I'm so passionate to teach it because I think if you can figure this piece out, you're going to see a different result in your business. You're going to start seeing the business that you dream of, that you see others having. But it is a really, really, really hard step to wrap your brain around. So I'm going to try to break it down a little bit, give you some examples, share my initial why with you, and we'll kind of go from there. So when you think of your business, it's kind of like, I always relate to athletes and how, take for example a basketball player, and they can make free throws in their sleep, right? Great, they're really talented, they're a super talented basketball player, but they get on the field and they don't have that heart or that hustle to kind of get through the game. Well, your why is your heart, and it's going to make you want to do that hustle and use your other talents that you learn to share more, work harder, become successful. So you really need this piece in place. Otherwise, you're just that talented athlete that dogs it on the court, you know? So I love sports analogy, so just had to share that one. I believe it's the backbone of your business, and it is what you need to get you out of bed. If without it, you don't have that emotional fuel, it's going to be hard to work through rejection. It's going to be hard to work through everyone telling you the pyramid scheme or these products don't work, even though they don't take them, or whatever someone throws your way. You have blinders on when your why is strong, your tunnel vision, and you are straight to your destination without any distractions. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to start to tell you, well, first I also want to say your why is not a what, okay? That is really, really, really important. When I initially started, I wanted to make $1,000 a month, right? That's a goal. That's a nice goal, but that is a what? That is a goal. That is not a purpose, okay? And your why must be personal. It has to be yours. I was doing a lot of coaching calls, wrapping up December and getting into 2017 with my gold leaders and above. And I found out some of them, number one, didn't have a why, which is why they were, struggling in their business. And number two, some of them they said to me, and I was like heartbroken. They said, I was using everyone else's why and I didn't have my own. Like I would see you leaving your teaching job, or I would see you doing whatever, and I was using all of your whys and I never truly had my own. I was like, wow, that's really powerful, right? So I really, really focused on working on that with them before you do anything else. So, all right, I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I hit everything. So let's break down my initial why. My initial purpose, my what, was to make $1,000 a month. Well, let me give you a little background on myself. I was a teacher. I had 2 kids in daycare at $2,000 a month on top of my other bills and a boatload of debt, credit card debt, and I could go into all of that, but I won't. So, but my initial goal was to make $1,000 a month because that would at least offset one of the daycare bills, right? So why did I want to make $1,000 a month? Well, because I was working a second job. and I was working outside of my home on the weekends. See, I taught all week, and I had a second job on the weekends to try to help my family make that $1,000 payment every month. So it wouldn't put us even further in the hole. Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. All right, so why do you know, you want to make $1,000 a month, you don't want to work that second job. Well, why? Why don't you want to work that second job? Well, because I had to leave my house all weekend and I didn't see my kids all weekend and all week, and now I was missing out on the weekends. Okay, and to dig a little further, why is that $1,000 so important? Because now I'm home. My kids deserve a mom that's home, and they deserve a mom that's engaged in their lives, and I deserve to be there with them, and I could stop missing out on their teeny little lives. They were only 1 and 4 when I first started. So you see how that $1,000, that's the what. And the why, the purpose, the fuel that drove me was I wanted to be with my family on the weekends, and I didn't want to miss one more single thing. So that was my first goal, was to get that $1,000 a month. And as I went on, it was, wow, we have a lot of credit card debt. How great would it feel to get rid of that, right? So the deeper why behind that is because my family deserved a wife and a mom that didn't stay up at night worrying about how they're going to pay their bills. So I could be happy and engaged in their lives. Like, living under that debt is stressful, and my family deserves a mom and a wife that's stress-free. That's the bigger purpose, guys. Do you see the difference? So I love sharing that, and I really want everyone to really dig into their whys. But I also don't want you to use your why as your excuse. I think a lot of people do that. If your kids are your purpose on life, to be with them more, or to have that time freedom that we all would just die for, don't let them be your excuse to not work. Yes, it's hard. Yes, I sacrificed a lot. Yes, I missed some family time. Yes, I missed some play dates, but it was all for the bigger picture. And I put my nose to the grindstone for 2 years, and now I have all the freedom I want to be with them whenever I want. So don't use your why as your excuse, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense, and that's so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I think it'll be good if I share my why too, so we can compare and contrast how that breaks down. I started, I was never going to do the business, but started doing the business because I was feeling so good. Of course, I wanted to share the products with other people. Of course, I wanted to tell people how amazing this is and help people. But the very first people I have to help are my shareholders, the people that live in my house, under my roof. That's the people I'm first responsible for. So the very first part of my why has to be personal. It can't be about others. That comes later. The first bills you have to take care of are the ones in your own house, before I can start helping other people take care of their bills. And so I looked at this business, and my husband was very skeptical, did not want me to do it, did not want me to do the business at all. So all of you who are struggling with unsupportive spouses, that was how my husband was. I didn't have his support, but I had his permission. And here's how I got his permission. He said, if this business can truly make money like you say it can, if you can make $3,000 a month in 6 months, I'll let you continue to do the business. Okay? So and the reason I even wanted to work the business, so that was his stipulation on me. So that had to become part of my why, because he gave me that stipulation. That was certainly a driver to get me out of bed every single day. But the reason why is because I knew if I could make that $3,000 a month, I knew how that would change my family. You see, at that time, $3,000 a month was what we had set aside that made our household run for the month. So that was groceries and all the kids' things that they needed, and people's haircuts and dog food and all those things was $3,000 a month. We owned 2 houses at the time. Very, very stressful time in our life. 2 very expensive mortgages. So my husband was under a lot of stress financially. Well, what does that do to your marriage? Is your marriage happy? No, your marriage is very stressful. Anytime something breaks, anytime someone needs something extra, anytime an unexpected bill comes or something breaks in the house, what happens? A fight happens in the bedroom. That's what happens, because that's what happens when two people are under great stress, financial stress. And I know some of you listening right now can relate to the stress that me and Erin are talking about.
Yep.
This is real. This is the stuff divorces are made of, okay? So we're talking about saving marriages, saving families. And finances are a huge part of that. Everyone's got bills to pay and everybody's got to eat. So I saw this deep why where I imagined what it would feel like if I took that $3,000 pressure off my husband every month. Can you imagine? I just could imagine it. I could just imagine watching that. I could physically see that weight lifting off his shoulders when I made that amount. And then he verbalized to me, before I even said to him, he verbalized to me that's the amount it would take to make a difference for him. Okay? So when I started my business, although I loved the benefits that I was helping others and that others were getting healthy with me on this journey, and I was helping them get started in the business and helping them develop their why, my why that got me literally out of the bed, on the phone, in every waking moment of my day was that number and that picture of my husband taking that big, deep sigh of relief on the 15th of every month when my Plexus paycheck came in.
Exactly.
So you see, guys, how we've driven it so deep that we walked around with a mental image on a daily basis of how this was going to change our life. And it wasn't just this really broad Pollyanna statement of, I want to have time freedom.
Yeah.
I want to change people's lives. Those are all fabulous, but we got to nail down to that deep in your heart, seat of your soul.
And I think, you're so right by saying that with the, I want time freedom, because that is so abstract. You don't know what that looks like until you live it. You don't even know what that means. And to me, time freedom wasn't getting me out of bed, but guess what was? Knowing that I could make enough money to leave the job that didn't fuel me, and I could be there all day, in the morning, in the afternoon, for my kids, except whatever it was at school, that fueled me, that I could be there for my kids. I didn't know what time freedom looked like or what it felt like, but the drive, the why of wanting to be that mom that worked at home and put my own kids on the bus instead of sending them to before care or aftercare after school, that to me drove me. Time freedom I feel now. I feel that daily, but at the beginning when I started, that was so abstract. It was so irrelevant. Like I didn't even know what that looked like or meant,
Yeah, or helping other people achieve health and financial freedom. I didn't even know what that looked like.
Right.
I've never done that before. I couldn't even really visualize that. Now looking back, we can, and it is part of our why now, because we've already been there. We've already experienced that, so we can share that. We can have that as part of our why and that vision.
And if your what is a thing, listen, I'm not opposed to wanting things in your life. I want a swimming pool so bad, right? Have you ever seen my Diamond Dock? You know I want a pool.
Go watch Erin's Diamond Dock. It's awesome.
But seriously, why is the reason I want a pool? Why? First of all, a pool is not going to get me out of bed to make me work this business. Like my family, that's what gets me out of bed. But okay, so say you want a pool. Well, what is the reason? Well, if you think about it, the reason is because I know that I want my kids to want to be home. And kids love swimming pools. And I want to be that house that all the kids in the neighborhood want to go to, number one, so I can keep my eye on them, make sure they're safe at all times. And I know where they are. They want to be in our house all the time instead of someone else's house. So, you have to find
why.
Yeah, you have to find
actually a swimming pool getting you out of bed.
Right. That's right. So you have to, excuse my ghetto ceiling back there. I'm in the basement of my house. You have to find that emotional attachment to your what. That's what a real why is, okay? It looks very different for everybody, and yours needs to be your own. But if there's no emotion, I'm going to tell you, it's just not going to drive you to work your business. And if nothing drives you to work your business, it's going to be really hard. And I've had so many people say, well, I want to be a jewel. Well, who doesn't want to be a jewel? Like, it's great, right? You get a stipend for a car, you get an amazing trip, you get a nice well, why do you want to be a jewel? Like, is it just to be on stage at convention? For me, the day I hit Emerald, I said to my friend who's not even in Plexus, she's like, oh, now you get the Lexus, right? I was like, it's not about that. It's the financial freedom that will come when I start making Emerald money. So it really has to be, and what is that? Why do I want financial freedom? Because of the reasons I just told you, the credit card debt, to be able to stay at home, all of that other stuff. So it has to tug at your heartstrings.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I think we should do like a little recap of the why example, those questions they need to ask themselves so they can write them down.
You want me to do the one that was in the book at Super Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So ask, what does your why look like? Do you want me to use mine, Rhonda, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can use yours.
So your goal, I want to be able to make $1,000 a month. Ask, what does that look like? I would like to be able to help with the family expenses, the daycare bills. Well, what does that mean? That would mean I didn't have to work a second job on the weekends. Okay. So how would that impact your family? I wouldn't have to leave my house on the weekends and be out of my home to work a second job. What does that feel like? To be able to spend time with my family and not miss out on all the little things I was missing out on in their lives. So it's more about, that end purpose. Like, what impact does it have on your family versus, that initial goal?
Exactly. And what is that emotional picture that we're painting? She's painting that emotional picture of picturing herself on the weekends, with her babies, no work to go to, no job to go to, not missing out on their little lives, being that mom that pushes them, down the slide and on the swing and getting ice cream when the ice cream truck comes. She had that vision in her head.
Exactly. My daughter was at 4. She was at the age where she started gymnastics and she was going to birthday parties and I couldn't bring her. I mean, how sad that made me so sad. And that right there is fuel. That is purpose.
Yes. And I saw my husband not up late at night and early in the morning with his calculator and his pen pad, figuring out how we were going to make our finances stretch. And this wasn't even about saving for the future. This was like everyone needs to save for the future and retirement and all that. This was like pure survival mode of making all these numbers work with a family of 5 children and one who had special needs, special medical needs that cost us thousands of dollars every month. So I just envisioned him with that weight being lifted off of his shoulders. What does that look like when the weight is lifted off of his shoulders? Well, he's happier and our marriage is better and our kids are more peaceful to be around him and he's not saying no to everything, where the kids feel like something's wrong all the time, or that the kids grow up with this mentality that we don't have, money to do things, or puts them in a stressful situation. So I had a really big emotional mental picture, and that's what we want you guys to have.
Right. And that's if going to be a Plexus Diamond is not your goal, that's okay. But if whatever your destination is, whether you want to be a Ruby or an Emerald, whatever your goal is, if this isn't in place, it's going to be really, really, really hard. I can promise you that.
Absolutely. So we just wanted to encourage you guys to get started on the right foot. We know many of you since Super Saturday are working hard on going silver. You're working hard on promoting to gold. Your senior gold, and you're working hard on helping your people promote to silver and move up those ranks. And it is critical for everyone in this business. I just talked to a gold going senior gold over the weekend, Erin, and she said that she had lost her why. So your why is ever evolving and changing. And what had happened to her is that initial why that she had that fueled her in this business, along the way it had changed. Like she had earned enough, income that it kind of met that first emotional needs she had. And she had never stopped to revisit it and say, what's the next step of my journey? So she realized to move forward, it was her why. She was missing her why. And that's why she was stuck at gold. That's why she could not move forward. So this is for everyone at every part of your journey. This piece is critical.
Critical. Like you can't live without it. Critical. Like oxygen. Critical.
Exactly. Oxygen for your business. Critical. Otherwise, you're going to be on life support in your business and you're going to be going nowhere.
Yeah. So, we can go into a whole other scene on that.
Yes. We'll save that for another training.
We'll do that tomorrow. Just text me at like 5 o'clock. I'll have makeup on.
I'll text you at dinner time and ask you if you can do a video.
Perfect. I love it.
Thank you, Erin. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. See you